Hey guys, ever feel like your words just don't land the way you want with women? Here's the truth, high-value men don't just talk, they command attention, spark attraction, and leave a lasting impression. This isn't about pickup lines or trying too hard. It's about how you speak, your tone, your pacing, and the unshakable confidence behind your words. Most men make simple mistakes that kill attraction instantly. Talking too fast. Over-explaining. Seeking approval. But when you learn how high-value men communicate, everything changes. Women lean in instead of pulling away. Conversations become effortless. And most importantly, you stop chasing because they start coming to you. Welcome back. Hit the subscribe button if you are new here to always get more of such wisdom videos. Okay, have you ever felt like your words don't have the impact you want when talking to women? If so, this video is about to change everything. High-value men don't just talk, they command attention, create attraction, and leave a lasting impression. It's not about using pickup lines or trying too hard. It's about how you speak, your tone, pacing, and the confidence behind your words. Most men make simple mistakes that instantly kill attraction, talking too fast, over-explaining, or seeking approval. But once you understand how high-value men communicate, everything shifts. Women start leaning in instead of pulling away, conversations flow effortlessly, and most importantly, you stop chasing because they start coming to you. In this video, I'll break down the techniques that separate ordinary men from the ones women can't ignore. Stick around until the end, and you'll never see conversations the same way again. Let's dive in. 1. The power of calm, controlled speech. A man's voice is more than just sound, it's a reflection of his presence, confidence, and self-assurance. Women are instinctively drawn to a man who speaks with purpose, who understands that his words carry weight, and who knows that silence can be just as powerful as speech. A man who doesn't rush to fill every pause with nervous chatter exudes a quiet dominance, one that commands attention effortlessly. When he speaks deliberately, his words have impact. He doesn't over-explain or justify himself, he simply says what he means, and that's enough. This controlled way of speaking signals deep inner security, a quiet strength that women find irresistibly attractive. Unlike men who fidget, talk too fast, or stumble over their words, a man with a steady, composed tone stands out. He doesn't rely on excessive talking to gain validation, his presence reinforces his words. Women are highly attuned to a man's emotional state, and the way he speaks reflects his mindset. A steady, relaxed tone suggests a man who is unshaken, one who moves through life with certainty. This level of self-assurance captures a woman's attention and keeps it. When a man is comfortable with silence, it naturally draws others in. They listen more closely, curious about what he'll say next. The next time you're in conversation, slow down. Let your words breathe. Resist the urge to fill every gap, and instead, let the silence work in your favor. Women are drawn to a man who's at ease with himself, whose words are intentional and meaningful. A man who speaks with calm authority never needs to raise his voice, because his silence speaks volumes. 2. The subtle art of playful teasing. Attraction isn't built on logic or a checklist of impressive qualities. It thrives in the unseen dance of emotions, where subtle shifts in energy determine whether a woman feels drawn to a man or remains indifferent. One of the most underrated yet powerful tools in this dynamic is playful teasing, a skill that, when mastered, turns even the most ordinary interactions into something magnetic. The right kind of teasing creates effortless connection. It injects playfulness into the conversation, pulling a woman into the moment and making her feel truly engaged. Women are naturally attracted to men who can make them laugh without trying too hard, challenge them without being confrontational, and create a spark of excitement in an otherwise predictable exchange. The key is balance, confidence without arrogance, playfulness without cruelty. A man who understands this teases with intention, not insecurity. He doesn't need constant approval or soften his words out of fear of rejection. For example, instead of sounding accusatory, he might say with a smirk, "You love making me wait, don't you? Admit it, it's your way of keeping me guessing." This sparks a smile, a shared moment of amusement that strengthens attraction. What separates confident teasing from insecure jabs is the energy behind it. A man who is comfortable in his own skin doesn't put a woman down to lift himself up. His teasing is a natural extension of his personality. And the key to making it work? Knowing when to shift gears, balancing playfulness with sincerity. You talk a big game, but let's see if you can back it up. Delivered with a knowing grin. Then, moments later, a sincere compliment. I like how determined you are, it's refreshing. This keeps the interaction authentic, rather than feeling like a rehearsed act. Most men either avoid teasing altogether or do it poorly, mistaking sarcasm for charm or overcompensating to impress. But the ones who get it right, they stand out. They bring an element of unpredictability, making every interaction feel fresh and exciting. In a world full of predictable conversations, the man who can create spontaneous, playful energy is the one a woman won't forget. 3. The secret weapon, making her feel understood. A man who truly understands a woman on an emotional level holds a rare and powerful influence, one that transcends physical attraction or material success. Women gravitate toward men who don't just hear their words but also grasp the emotions behind them. The ability to listen with intent, respond with depth, and create a space where she feels genuinely seen is a skill few master. Yet, it's one of the most effective ways to foster connection and attraction. Many men make the mistake of listening merely to reply rather than to understand. They focus on waiting for their turn to speak, offering predictable responses or surface-level validation. However, a man who listens differently, who allows the conversation to breathe, absorbs her words before reacting, and asks thoughtful questions, stands out. He moves beyond small talk, prompting her to reflect and share parts of herself she rarely reveals. Rather than the generic, "What do you like to do for fun?" he asks. "What's something you've always wanted to do but haven't yet?" Instead of just nodding when she shares a personal struggle, he acknowledges her emotions with sincerity. "That must have been frustrating. What kept you pushing through?" A man who engages this way becomes more than just another conversation, he becomes an experience. He makes her feel truly understood, something rare and deeply valued. This isn't about tactics or manipulation, it's about developing a mindset of genuine curiosity and emotional intelligence. Women desire to be seen as complex, evolving individuals, not just as ideas. To embody this, a man must listen actively, mirror emotions rather than just words, and resist the urge to fill silence with empty responses. He should offer insight, not just agreement, and create a dynamic where she feels both challenged and deeply valued. When a woman leaves a conversation feeling understood rather than just heard, she won't forget the man who made her feel that way. 4. The power of mystery, saying less, meaning more. Attraction thrives in the space between what is known and what is left unsaid. When a man shares too much too soon, he removes one of the strongest elements of attraction, mystery. Women are drawn to men who spark curiosity, leave just enough unsaid to keep them intrigued, and make them lean in. Predictability stifles excitement, while an element of the unknown fuels desire. Many men mistakenly believe that being an open book makes them more appealing, that oversharing about their past, ambitions, and feelings will deepen the connection. But attraction doesn't work that way. The more a woman has to wonder, the more emotionally invested she becomes. A man who answers questions in a way that invites curiosity rather than satisfying it outright maintains control of the dynamic. For example, her, "What do you do for a living?" Him, ordinary response, "I'm a financial analyst." Him, intriguing response, "I help people solve problems." This playful response invites her to ask more, keeping the conversation engaging. It shifts the focus onto her, drawing her in. Mystery isn't about deception, it's about maintaining intrigue. A man who keeps his responses concise and thought-provoking encourages a deeper level of engagement. He doesn't rush to fill silences or over-explain his actions. This applies not just to words but also to behavior. A man who isn't always available, doesn't always text first, and doesn't immediately respond with long messages subtly signals that he has a life beyond her, that she isn't the center of his world. This subtle detachment makes him more desirable because women are naturally drawn to what they can't fully have. Humor also enhances mystery. If she asks, "Why are you so confident?" an ordinary man might list his achievements. But a man who understands attraction might respond, "I took a confidence course taught by my grandmother." This unexpected response makes her laugh and adds an element of unpredictability, making him more memorable. Women remember how a man makes them feel, and surprise is a powerful way to create a lasting impression. The key is restraint. Many men feel compelled to prove themselves through words, laying everything out so the woman understands them completely. But once there's nothing left to discover, excitement fades. A man who knows when to hold back, who creates gaps that invite curiosity, remains far more captivating than one who reveals everything too soon. When a woman has to work to uncover who he is, she becomes more invested. And the more invested she is, the stronger the attraction grows. 5. The art of saying no and setting boundaries. A man who knows how to say no earns an unspoken respect. Women are naturally drawn to men with a strong sense of self, those who don't compromise their values to seek approval. Too often, men fall into the trap of excessive agreement, pretending to like things they don't or suppressing their preferences to avoid conflict. They believe this makes them more likable, but it does the opposite. A man who stands by his opinions, without being argumentative, is far more attractive than one who constantly seeks approval. For example, if she passionately talks about a particular music genre and he isn't interested, the average man might nod along in agreement. But a confident man says, "I respect that, but I've never really been into that genre. Maybe you can convince me." Understanding the appeal of subtle challenge in attraction. Women, like men, are drawn to a variety of qualities in potential partners, but one of the most universally attractive characteristics is a sense of independence and self-worth. These are not qualities that can be manufactured easily. They emerge from a deep sense of self-respect and personal boundaries. Women are often not attracted to men who mindlessly agree with everything or constantly seek approval. Instead, they gravitate toward men who can subtly challenge them in conversations and interactions. This isn't about being rude, contrarian, or combative. It's about having the confidence to express your opinions, assert your boundaries, and know when to stand your ground. The key here is subtlety. A man who offers a subtle challenge, who doesn't just nod along to everything a woman says, but instead adds thoughtful responses that provoke deeper thinking, makes himself intriguing. This sparks a dynamic of attraction that is built on mutual respect and intellectual engagement, rather than simple compliance. When a man doesn't feel the need to agree with every point, but instead holds his own and offers his perspective, he creates an environment of intellectual and emotional growth. This creates a foundation for genuine attraction, rooted not in appeasement, but in admiration for each other's individuality. Setting boundaries and respecting yourself. When it comes to establishing a high value in the eyes of others, especially women, few things matter more than setting and maintaining boundaries. This principle isn't just about rejecting certain behaviors, it's about drawing a line around what you consider acceptable and non-negotiable in your life, and not being afraid to communicate that clearly to others. Respect is often considered the cornerstone of any relationship, and respect is intrinsically tied to how a person values themselves. Boundaries, however, are not always intuitive for everyone. For many men, there is a fear that asserting boundaries, especially early in a relationship or interaction, may drive the woman away. This fear often comes from insecurity or a desire to keep the peace at all costs. But in truth, boundary setting is a sign of strength, not weakness. Let's consider a practical example. Suppose a woman cancels plans at the last minute, perhaps because something came up or she simply didn't feel like meeting. How a man responds to this is telling. An insecure man might rearrange his entire schedule, apologizing for his own time and seeking to accommodate her without hesitation, out of fear that saying no might make her lose interest. This reaction, while well-intentioned, communicates a lack of self-respect. It implies that her needs are more important than his, and this sets a precedent where she may feel she can take his time for granted. In contrast, a confident man who values his time and doesn't live in constant fear of rejection will approach the situation with clarity. His response might be something like, "I've already got something planned for that time, but we can figure out another day that works better for both of us." This statement doesn't sound defensive or angry, it's calm, confident, and, most importantly, it communicates value. The man is not scrambling to accommodate her at the expense of his own time. He sets clear boundaries without apology, and that's a sign of a high-value individual. The danger of seeking constant validation. When a man constantly seeks validation from others, whether it's approval from a woman, compliments from his peers, or affirmation in social situations, it can often backfire. People, and women in particular, have an instinctual radar for detecting insecurity. While it's natural for everyone to seek some form of validation, when it becomes the cornerstone of a man's identity, it undermines the respect he receives from others. Think of the man who goes to great lengths to win someone's approval, always telling the right jokes, saying the right things, and constantly looking for positive reinforcement. While this may initially seem charming, it can quickly grow tiresome. The validation-seeking behavior begins to overshadow the man's authentic self. His identity is no longer rooted in who he truly is, but in how he is perceived by others. This lack of authenticity is unattractive because it makes the man appear unsure of himself. On the flip side, a man who understands his own worth and isn't constantly seeking external validation exudes a magnetic confidence. He understands that admiration and respect are byproducts of his behavior and actions, not something he must chase relentlessly. His strength lies in the fact that he does not need to prove himself to others. Women find this kind of confidence compelling. It's not about arrogance, but about the genuine belief that he is enough as he is, without the need for constant approval from others. The role of boundaries in building attraction. One of the most powerful ways a man can build attraction with a woman is through his ability to set and maintain clear boundaries. Setting boundaries is not about being rigid, mean, or unyielding, it's about demonstrating self-respect and emotional maturity. This kind of self-respect is crucial because it communicates to others, including women, that you are emotionally stable and capable of making decisions that are in your best interest. This creates a dynamic where the woman feels more secure, because she knows that a man who has strong boundaries can also protect her emotional well-being. Imagine a situation where a man is consistently clear about his needs and expectations in the relationship. He is direct and forthright about what he's looking for in a partner, and he doesn't settle for anything less. If she cancels plans, he doesn't immediately bend over backward to accommodate her. If she pushes his boundaries, he calmly but firmly lets her know where he stands. Over time, this approach builds trust and admiration because the woman knows that he won't compromise his values or his needs just to please her. Attraction often thrives in an environment where both partners can express their needs openly without fear of being rejected or ignored. When a man sets boundaries, it allows the woman to feel safe in the relationship because she knows where he stands. This kind of emotional security is deeply attractive. The power of silence and emotional control. Another essential trait of high-value men is the power of silence and emotional control. In conversations, especially with women, many men feel the need to fill every silence with words. This is often driven by anxiety or a fear of saying something wrong. However, the high-value man understands the importance of silence. He knows that silence can be more powerful than words when used correctly. It creates a sense of mystery, allowing both people in the conversation to reflect and think more deeply about what was said. Emotional control is also a key component of high-value communication. A man who doesn't get easily rattled or react impulsively to criticism or conflict communicates maturity. He knows that reacting with emotional volatility only undermines his standing in the eyes of others. In contrast, a man who remains composed, even in challenging situations, shows inner strength and the ability to navigate conflict with grace. The high-value man doesn't overshare personal details or spill his emotions at the slightest provocation. He speaks thoughtfully, choosing his words carefully. When he does speak, it's with purpose, and his words are measured and impactful. This is why high-value men often leave a lasting impression. They don't feel the need to say everything all at once, but they make the moments when they do speak count. Final thoughts: the art of high-value communication. Mastering the art of communication is not about impressing others or winning their approval. It's about conveying confidence, self-respect, and emotional maturity. High-value men understand that they don't need to impress anyone with their words. They communicate in a way that naturally draws others in because their actions and words reflect their inner strength and self-worth. Women are naturally attracted to men who have a sense of direction and purpose. They are drawn to men who know what they want from life and who are unafraid to go after it. This is why setting boundaries and communicating effectively are so critical in forming and sustaining healthy, attractive relationships. A high-value man's ability to maintain boundaries, control his emotions, and engage in meaningful conversations is what sets him apart. His presence alone can leave an indelible impression. By embracing these qualities and cultivating emotional intelligence, any man can attract the respect and admiration he seeks, not through validation-seeking behaviors, but through the quiet strength of his actions and words. In the end, the man who knows when to say no, when to hold back, and when to assert his value is the one who attracts and retains the deepest level of respect and attraction. Women are drawn to men who are not afraid to challenge them subtly, to communicate confidently, and to prioritize themselves while still remaining open to others. It's this combination of self-respect, emotional maturity, and clarity that makes the high-value man irresistible and unforgettable.